A very good misty morning to you all. It's just an incredible morning because the mist is so low, and I suppose it's because of the heat from the earth over the past few days, because we've had pretty high temperatures here in the west of Ireland, though apparently not as high as 1892 when we did have similar days in February. But it's just the most amazing landscape when the mist descends. I'm just looking at the ribes and all the lovely blossom. And I've also been walking the land this morning looking for nettles, because this is a really good time of the year to harvest young nettles, the nettle tips. Amazingly good for your health. And I'm going to be making a nettle tea, and I'm also going to be starting off a little nettle tincture using alcohol. I have some poachine, and you simply use a clear alcohol like poachine, I suppose, or vodka maybe, and you kind of steep the nettle leaves in the alcohol, so you just put it all in together. I mean, there's lots of ways of understanding how this is done, and you just look on the net and you'll find lots of info, much better information than I can give you on this, because I just know the basics of it. So I'm going to be using a tincture then later on in the year, I suppose, for, you know, my kind of rheumatoid arthritis, you know, around the joints. It's really good. And lots of other uses as well. So I'm going to be picking some nettles this morning. I've got lots coming up all over the land, and I'm going to be drying some as well. So get some bunches and dry them. You can also cook them. You can cook them in the same way as spinach. They're packed with vitamin C and iron and lots of phyto-nutrients that we are only just beginning to kind of understand, because we know very little about nutrition really. But historically, nettles were always picked by the peasants and used at this time of the year as a really good way of getting vitamin C. I mean, I was watching a few episodes of Paul Dark on Netflix. Paul Dark was written by Winston Graham, and at one point a lot of the people in Cornwall got scurvy. I think it was scurvy. Anyway, a result of vitamin C deficiency, and there was a whole sort of chapter in the book and bit in the production where the wealthy aristocratic lady paid for the importation of oranges for some of these poor people. And I was just thinking to myself, that's kind of ridiculous. I don't understand how something like that could have happened, because local people especially, you know, people who are well used to the land will know where to get their vitamin C from. Of course, the only thing I could think of was that maybe they hadn't related vitamin C to scurvy, but then that didn't make any sense either, because the doctor knew that they needed to have oranges, and actually oranges have only a fraction of the vitamin C that is in nettles. So this is as someone who kind of thinks as she reads or thinks as she watches, it just perplexed me. So, and of course nettles are free. In fact, there are so many excellent foods out there on the landscape which are free. You just need to know what to look for. And in this day and age, especially with the internet, my goodness, but we have such a huge treasury of information that's been uploaded day by day. I mean, so many people, are putting information up there and explaining how things are done and putting videos up and writing blogs, and so there's a massive amount of information there. So there's no excuse really for us not to know these things. But yeah, so nettles is going to be very much the order of the day today, and I've already been up along the bank and had a look, and down along here I'll show you some of the nettles. So they're just coming up. These are coming up round the base of blackcurrant bushes, and you can actually harvest them when they're young like this without them stinging you, because the stings haven't developed. But of course I'm just going to be careful and use gloves anyway. And we go. Lots and lots around the blackcurrant. And there's one over there, look, which is looking a mighty bit bigger. So yes. So the young nettles, of course, are brilliant. So you take the plant down, right down to where it's growing out from. Now, you can also use the roots of nettles. Now, they're not called roots, they're called something else, but anyway, you can actually use those. I think they're called rhizomes or something like that. But you can use those as well. You see, I've got this pot that used to have sage in it, and the sage died, and now there's lots of nettles in it. So I'm just going to leave that there, because that's a good place to come and get nettles from. But when you go out for a walk and go into an area, obviously, where there's a certain amount of nature, wild nature, go looking for nettles, because they are an incredible food at this time of the year. They make, at the very least, have your nettle tea. Now, there is a way to make nettle tea, by the way, which will capture all of the goodness in the nettles. First of all, you don't have the water at boiling. You have the water just under boiling. So if you're using an electric kettle, switch it off when it becomes almost too hot to touch, but it's not yet boiling. And then steep your nettles for about 10 minutes, 10 full minutes, and then you have your nettle tea. Now, also, you can make nettle tea and let it cool down. And you can just bottle that up, put it in the fridge. I'm sure it'll keep for kind of, between 3 and 5 days at the very least. And then you can add some lemon juice to that, or you might want to add some fruit juice to it, or you could even add that to a juice that you make, or even to a smoothie that you make, and ingest the nettle tea that way. So there's lots of ways of having it. Personally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my nettle tea and mix it half and half with China tea, just ordinary traditional tea, and because that's how I have my green tea as well. So today is very much a day for looking at what the spring has to offer, and making the most of the early spring, and going out and looking at what nature has to offer you, because you see, she's producing food all the time. And if the nettles are coming through at this time of the year, that is a sign to us to look at our own health and look at a way of feeding best health practice. There are also dandelions coming up, and of course dandelions are fantastic, and I'm going to be using dandelions in my juicing. And also you can use nettles directly in your juicing as well. Not very good if you've got a centrifugal juicer, you know, the one that spins round and round. But if you have a masticating juicer, which is really good for herbs and for small leaves, really extracting all the juice from them, then that's perfect. I will be using my masticating juicer to juice the nettles, and definitely for the dandelions as well. So there we go. The blossoms continuing to erupt everywhere. And today's promised fine, once all the mist rises, dissipates. So a very good morning to you all, and blessings, and hope you have a lovely day. And don't forget that if you would like to buy a book or a map, then the links are underneath this video. And I thank you in advance for supporting Bealtaine Cottage. Blessings to you all.